Promiscuous America. Smart, secular, and somewhat less unhappy. It's the title of this article. But the title of this video is Promiscuous America. Actually, I don't have a title for this video yet, but we're going to talk about how people just look at it as something normal, something that should be accepted in all sectors of life. Families should be run like this. It's normal. It's nothing to be alarmed about. And if you look at the thumbnail, it's possible it could have been a joke. But the problem is there's far too many women out there who actually live like this. You know, if not this person directly, it's somebody out there with the same mindset, bragging about how a train was ran on her. And from that, ironically, she's pregnant. And I guarantee you she has no idea which one of those guys is the father. And this is why I'm very much a proponent of DNA test at the hospital after birth before anything gets done. The man should not be asked, should not be approached at all in regards to signing a birth certificate unless a DNA test has been done. Whether it's the guide, whoever she thinks the father is, before that birth certificate is signed, DNA test should be done. And if she chooses to not have that done, well, that reveals a darker and deeper motive right then and there. So, okay, she chooses to not reveal who the father is. At that point, she should not be eligible for any kind of stipends from the government. No Section 8, no WIC card, link card, none of that. She should automatically be disqualified from any of that. Because obviously she don't care about who the father is. So why are you really trying to have this baby? Because if you was really genuinely trying to have a child and raise it in a loving environment, you would have chose a better mate, first of all. You would want the father to be in a child's life. So it wouldn't be no, I don't care, I'll take care of the baby myself, I just wanted a baby. Nah, it wouldn't be none of that. Not at all. So yes, I'm definitely a proponent of DNA tests at birth. But there's a deeper problem. That has been a problem for a long time in this country. And that's bled over before you had a segment of society, and you still do, where the prostitutes and working girls, one and the same. They would work in brothels and you would go there, conduct your business, bong, bong, bong. Then you will leave. Boom. Everybody's happy. They got their money. Their promiscuous ways was fed. You got your rocks off. Fair exchange. End of story. But now, in today's society, the working girl prostitute mentality has bled into everyday life, to where now it's viewed as something normal and should be accepted by everyone. And real life don't work that way. But let's read on to some of this article. This article is Institute for family studies. It's an old article. This is from 2018, but I just find it a little fascinating. So let's check it out. Dating, infidelity, single life, women and men. A lot of you brothers need to watch where you stick yourself too, cause it ain't just having a kid that can get you hemmed up for life. You mess around and catch something that's gonna catch you. But anyway, we like to think of America as sexually permissive. We're bombarded with stories of rapid fire, tender liaisons, and meaningless college hookups. The reality isn't monastic, but is more staid than most of us think. The median American woman has had 3 sex partners in her lifetime. The median man has had 5. See, they need to stop comparing the two. There's always going to be a difference in that situation right there. It's just like the master key syndrome. A master key that opens multiple locks. Great key, master key. A lock that opens to just any key. That lock ain't shit. That lock ain't no good at all. Throw it away. Toss it away. But anyway, these numbers have remained unchanged for decades. You have to look at people born prior to the 1940s who came of age before the sexual revolution to find lower numbers. The one exception is college-educated men whose median tally has declined over the past couple decades. The numbers for men who didn't complete college have stayed the same. But medians don't tell the whole story. The distribution of promiscuity is skewed to the right. Most people have only a few partners, but a few people have a whole lot. The data looks like this. The skewed distributions of promiscuity. Now, just think back at the thumbnail and how this woman was so casual about saying that. Bragging about having a train ran on her. This is where we have fallen to as a society. To where women are running around thinking it's cute to have trains run on them. Even back in the days when I knew about a girl who had a train ran on her, she didn't run around telling everybody. I mean, it eventually got out, but she pretended like she didn't know what anybody was talking about. But those that was in the know knew. We knew who was playing the railroad tracks. We knew who they was. They wasn't walking around taking out ads in the newspaper, walking down the halls of high school, just announcing, hey, I was the train tracks last night for this person and that person, that person, that person. It was 12 cars, 12-car train. I was the tracks. Wasn't nobody doing that. But here's the chart. I'm gonna leave a link to this story down in the description box. You guys can check it out. Lifetime number of sex partners up until the age of 80. You got the men and the women. And of course, we know it's easier for women to have sex with a lot of people because all they need is a hole. For a lot of dudes that just want to be thirsty and stick the shit anywhere, especially the dudes who always had a hard time getting women. Maybe they socially awkward, dressed socially awkward, talked socially awkward, just seem uncomfortable and unsure of themselves around women. Then you have the others who didn't even try. So course they gonna be on the side of the chart that's not getting any. Then you have the women who look busted. Somebody still bent them over a table or something, bent them over the card table just because she's there. So that part of it is, it's always going to be uneven because of that. But then when it gets to the extreme of the list, that's when it's a problem. And like I said, it's bleeding into mainstream society. Like, it's the thing to do. It's normal. They're trying to normalize women being extra loosey goosey. Or the echo chamber. The taco has become an echo chamber. Yo, hella echoes in that taco. The yellow bars are medians included to provide some perspective. Although the people who have had only a few partners, a few have had a multitude. Indeed, I capped the maximum at 100, so a single-page graph would be intelligible. 5% of women have had 16 or more partners. 5% of men have had 50 or more. 1% of American women have had over 35 partners. The comparable figure for men is 150. Now the men who's popping off 150, those men have no problem getting women. So it's just a normal thing for us guys. That's how a lot of us we gain our experiences. And when you get with the woman you really like, you don't want to be. Y'all remember the movie 40-Year-Old Virgin? Remember how awkward he was? He been sexually deprived for like years, and he ended up meeting a lady that he kind of liked. And the first time they tried to do something, he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was complete. You want to talk about socially awkward? He was in the sack awkward. Like, she gave him a condom, he didn't know what to do, and putting it on backwards up and just stretching it out the wrong way like it's a damn balloon. And he was just completely, he didn't know what he was doing. And this was a woman that he really liked. So even though the whole thing, it was a comedy and all that, and a lot of things his friends was telling him was kind of out there, but they was telling the truth though. Yo, like what Seth Rogen told him. When you get ready to hit somebody you like, you don't want to be terrible at it. And then also a lot of us, we sow in our oats a little bit, like when we're younger. Because in our minds, we ain't, even if we like a girl a lot back then, we get with her, boom, boom, this and that, we start clapping them cakes. We ain't thinking about marrying her. We ain't even got to college yet. So yeah, we're going to run through a lot of women. Now, on the flip side, when you have women doing that, it's just something about that. I know there's some guys out there thinking that it's hypocritical and it shouldn't be judged like that, and a lot of women look at it the same way because they want the best of both worlds. They want to be viewed as the feminine, dainty ones, and women's first, and you got to be a gentleman, and what happened to the chivalry and all of that. And at the same time, they want to be like men. They want to be able to fuck as many men as they want and not be judged by it, not be looked at with a side eye. But that's not how it works. It's not how it works. And I can tell you right now, just the natural, normal thought, when you come across a woman who you know she's promiscuous and she's out there, you always look at her with the side eye because you look at her like she doesn't respect herself or care about herself. And you at least me, I be thinking like, man, she she probably, I ain't gonna say that. Never mind. But yo, you don't have to worry. You don't have to wonder too much about why certain smells are there, and they have their clothes on, and you don't even know this woman. And you're like, why did you smell like that? But anyway, but yeah, who are these people? In the following pages, I present a statistical portrait of promiscuous America by using general social survey data collected between 1989 and 2016. Earlier surveys didn't query respondents about their sexual histories. The multiple waves of data provide a sample of over 30,000 respondents and therefore enough cases to look at sexual behavior at the margins. My examination focuses on the upper 5 percentiles of promiscuity. In other words, the 5% of Americans who report having more sex partners than the other 95%. I also look at the top 1 percentile of promiscuity, where there are sufficient sample sizes to do so. Except where noted, the results are similar for the top 5 and top 10% of promiscuity. Finally, my tally of sex partners ignores sexual orientation. The trends. Overall, younger Americans are now having sex with fewer people than their boomer or Gen X elders, but that's not the case for the female promiscuous minority. Oh yeah, these bras is getting it in nowadays. Well, they was too back in the days, but hold on for a minute. But yeah, this, and once again, you look at the thumbnail, they think this is cute to be seen as a working girl, because that's basically how they're being looked at, whether they like it or not, whether it's fair or not. You sleep around. You basically have transactional relationships because even if it's not a direct, you know, give me money and I'll open my legs, it's a backdoor transactional relationship. It's basically the same thing. You just give it a different name. Buy me dinner. I might give you some. I might not. You know, take me here. Buy me this. Dude from the Golden State Warriors just went on a date with Ice Spice. One date. First date. This ninja put out $500K on a first date. Yes, that's definitely simp energy, because it's like, what has she done to deserve that? If it's a first date, she's still technically a stranger to you. Yeah, you know her name. She might know your name, depending on how into sports she is. But what has she done to deserve that? He's he's so thirsty, and so he's probably another socially awkward dude who just happens to have a lot of money. so he can trick off on women. He's probably one of those dudes you'll find at a strip club or on porn sites, whacking his little beaver. So he finally get a chance with, you know, with some broad in the spotlight, and gets a chance to go out on a date with her. Oh, $500K on a first date. She hasn't done nothing but show up. Now, after $500K, not saying she did, didn't, would or wouldn't, but if she did, that's still transactional. You can put another name on it all you want, but it's still transactional. And a lot of women out there are doing that these days. On the lower levels, on a first date, the guy might not be able to pony up $500K, but these women want you to buy them expensive Gucci and Louis bags, few grand, get their hair done, so they can have a solid gold hair hat, so they can display all the cane-toed poisonous tendencies, they show all the wild colors of how promiscuous and poisonous they are. Want you to buy them jewelry, and this is the first date. Remember, this is the first date. And it just adds into all the promiscuity that's going on with American women. And they trying to compare it to the men, but it's different. It has always been different. Yes, there's a double standard, but the standard is there for a reason. And it's convenient that they only notice these double standards when it goes against them. But it's very convenient when, let's say, they have a flat tire on the side of a road, and if a man pulls over and offers to help, she won't say, "No, I don't need your help. I can change this flat myself. I'm strong and independent. Get out of here." Oh, no. She's going to take that help. Most definitely. Because it's convenient for her to be a woman in that moment. And when it's not convenient, she's going to try to get as masculine as she can be just to compete with you. But anyway, kind of went off on a tangent. Lost my place. Where the hell was I at? All right. The data show a linear increase in the percentage of women who fall into the high. Okay. Nah. The figure below looks at the portion of the sample for each survey year falls into the top 5 percentile for the entire sample. In other words, what proportion of women for each survey year had 16 or more partners? The data show a linear increase in the percentage of women who fall into the high side of sex adventurousness. In 1990, about 3% of women had over 15 sex partners. By 2016, this number was up to 7%. Additional analysis suggests that women's increasing sexual adventurousness over the years of the time series represents a secular trend towards promiscuity. You got that right. Women's trend and top 5 percentile promiscuity. Proportion of women with 16 plus sex partners. Just look at the chart. And this article came out in 2018. It's 2023. I would like to see this chart now. Yeah, I like to see this chart now. I bet it went up another 7%, probably 12% at least. And you look at the years from 1990 on to 2015. Yeah, it's still rising. I need to do this again. I'm finding this article. I'm sure they got one for 2023. The story is different for men, for whom promiscuity was most common in the previous decade. Since then, a declining proportion of men have had 50 or more sex partners. Still, top 5 percentile sexual exploration remains a bit more common for men than it was in the early 1990s, near the beginning of the time series. Men's trend in top 5 percentile promiscuity. We're in a downward spiral. Because a lot of dudes just... No, I'm just guessing. I'm thinking this is America mostly based. And a lot of dudes over here is catching on as far as changing the name of the transactional relationship that women really want, what they're really talking about. And a lot of dudes just like, nah, I think I'm good on that. And if a guy wants to get married and have a family and stuff like that, he's concentrating more on getting his money up so he can get his passport, which doesn't cost that much anyway. Get that passport, learn a second language, and then guys are bouncing to other countries, having long extended vacations in other countries, finding ways to make money online, finding businesses to start that you can run remotely from anywhere in the world if you have an internet connection. And guys are just bouncing. That's what I think this trend really represents. The predictable demographic differences. The residents of promiscuous America are predictable in many ways. They're less likely to be married and more likely to be divorced. They're several times as likely as their less adventurous peers to have cheated on a spouse. They watch more porn. They're more likely to be political liberals than moderates or conservatives. Very ironic. You see those feminist protests where women are out there and for whatever strange reason they feel to further their cause and to make people pay attention to them, it's best suited for them to be out there completely naked, screaming. Some have face paint. I'm sure you guys have seen some of these protests. Screaming about equal rights for women and how not to look at them as sex objects while simultaneously screaming at the top of your lungs while you're completely naked in the street. Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy with a Mac. I read that again. They watch more porn. They're more likely to be political liberals than moderates or conservatives. Many of them live in the western United States. Excuse me. Didn't mean to say that. Never mind. For women, that means the Intermountain West, more than the West Coast. They're more likely to live in cities than the suburbs or rural areas. It's also predictable that the promiscuous are less religious than other Americans, but there are nevertheless interesting differences by denominational affiliation. Christians are the least likely to fall into the top 5% of the promiscuity distribution. I'm going to have to push back on that. I disagree. I know a lot of church going womans, especially in the Black community, call themselves churchgoers and God-fearing women, sitting all in the front row with their legs crossed, wearing a nice short skirt, short dress. Some of whom decide to let the taco breathe, if you know what I mean. For those who don't, no draws, okay? Church-going folks, Christians. They get out of church, they do the most getting their cheeks clapped than anybody else. Any non-religion people or people of other religious faiths is the Christian woman, especially in the Black community. They are among the worst. You can, as a matter of fact, you can go to a Christian church just a few times, get to mingling this and that. You could treat it like a nightclub. And I guarantee you'll come out of there with some cheeks to clap. I'm just saying. Clapping them Christian cheeks. Clapping them Christian cheeks. Anyway. Still, in terms of sheer percentage points, the differences between Christians and non-believers are not enormous. When it comes to other faiths, including Muslims, Hindus, and myridless common religions, the men behave like Christians. Oh yeah, gotta throw the men under the bus. It's somehow our fault creating these transactional relationships. They're always trying to drag the men in there. Like, well, wait a minute, look what the men are doing. Men, we always get held accountable for shit. We don't have a choice. We the foundation of this country. We built this shit. When we fuck up, we hear about it. We get taken to the carpet with it. We get our lashings. You know, when we screw up, we're held accountable in every aspect of society. But as soon as you try to hold women accountable for anything, wait a minute. Look at what the men do. And this is why we always fall right back into the same quagmire. Anyway, my glasses in the car. I don't feel like going to get them. Let me clumsy my way through this. Other faith women are more likely to reside in promiscuous America of all survey respondents to claim a denominational affiliation. Jews are the most likely to report high promiscuity. 8% of Jewish women, 6% of Jewish men. The highest levels of promiscuity naturally belong to Americans who don't claim a denominational affiliation. This includes 10% of unaffiliated women and 7% of unaffiliated men. The percentage of women and men in the top 5% of promiscuity by religious affiliation. So they even break it down by religion. Evangelical, around 4%. Mainline, 4 to 3%. Catholic, men at 4%, women at 3%. That's another one that's, this is 2018, but even going way back in the day, I've had a few girls that was Catholic, and yeah, they was out there. They was in them streets. That's where I met a lot of them at, in them streets, and there was nothing to clap them cheeks. Just saying, I would. They belong, in my opinion, from my personal experiences. Catholic women belong in the same category as the unaffiliated. 10% or above. That's just my experience. Y'all might have different experiences. Let me know in the comment section, because I'm Catholic women. They up there. Matter of fact, I'll put them close to 20%. Just saying. Religious participation also has the anticipated negative correlation with promiscuity. The most sexually adventurous Americans are least likely to attend religious services. Regular attendance, defined as several times a month or more, translates into the lowest odds of sexual cyberitism. I know I butchered that word, but oh well. Only 2% of survey respondents who attend religious service regularly fall into the top 5 percentile of promiscuity, whereas 7% of non-attenders do. Occasional attendance produces middling rates of sexual adventurism. Regularly darkening the door of a church, synagogue, or mosque may both reinforce doctrinal prescriptions against promiscuity and offer social reinforcement about the desirability of monogamy. But I say all that to say this, and I'm going to leave a link to this article in the description box. But I say all that to say this. America has fallen to the promiscuous bug, the virus, it's cute to sleep around, and and I don't know when it started. Well, actually, I do, because there was a lot of these bras in my era too. But it was still a classification. They wasn't like openly advertising themselves like that, like it is now. And I know social media wasn't out back then, like back when I was in high school and stuff like that. When all these, you didn't have access like we do now. But we had phones back then. We had cell phones back then. We had ways to get to women when we wanted to. We had transportation. Oh, it's a party going on at, you know, this other high school. Oh, it's open to other students from other schools to go. We're gonna go there and holler. So we was getting around and stuff too. But it wasn't like just openly mainstreamable the way it is now. It's so much in the mainstream now. It is like they trying to make it normal. In a minute, they're gonna legalize prostitution and make it a 1099 self-employed business. I mean, it's the oldest profession, but they're trying so hard to normalize women being just loose and promiscuous. It's crazy. But anyway, I just want to touch on this for a minute. Man, this shit is crazy. And the thumbnail just sparked a thought in my mind. A comment. I had to say something about it because she literally thinks this is cute. I don't know who the father is, and I had a train ran on me, and that's crazy. You don't love yourself at all. You don't love yourself. You don't like yourself at all, and it's evident in what you was saying. And if it's a joke, ha ha ha. The problem is there's women actually out there that think like that and have had that done to them. And you just took the words right out of their mouth. So if you was joking, then relay the message to the person who's really out there doing it, because there's a lot of women out there actually doing that. But somehow I think it wasn't a full-on joke. I think he was serious. And for that, you need help. And a lot of women in a modern society today need help because they're so willing to be train tracks and not care about the consequences. Being pregnant is just one of them. If you willing to let all these dudes run up in you raw and skeet in you, how you know they ain't gonna give you lobsters? Put lobsters in your taco. How do you know it ain't gonna burn you? Hit you with that hot lava. Now you're burning. And you're sleeping around anyway, so what you gonna do? You gonna go burn another dude. And then he gonna go burn somebody. Probably burn another bro like you who like being the train tracks. Anyway, it's a messed up cycle. And a lot of people, they won't even admit this, but a lot of these promiscuous women out there, they are very unhappy people. They are not happy people, and they are not pleasant to be around. Some of them end up contemplating subtracting themselves, deleting themselves, unaliving themselves, erasing themselves from existence because they can't take looking themselves in a mirror and knowing that it's possible that you just a piece of shit. But anyway, let me know what y'all think about the content. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit up the Cash App, $Cobra Clutch 357. I'm out.